Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like him. With him we win, he's our champion. With him we can't lose, we always win, he's our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can't lose, champion. With you we can't lose, we always win, you're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing Halal, Halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing Halal, Halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can't lose, we always win, you're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing Halal, Halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can't lose, we always win, you're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing Halal, Halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win, you're our champion. With you we can't lose, we always win, you're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can't lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing hello, Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing hello, Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can't lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can't lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Testify, believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Study the Torah. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Study the Torah. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Clap my hands. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Clap my hands. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. believe I'll run on while I have a chance. Believe I'll run on while I have a chance. Believe I'll run on while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Run on, believe I'll run on while I have a chance. Believe I'll run on while I have a chance. Believe I'll run on while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Have my neighbor, believe I'll have my neighbor while I have a chance. Believe I'll have my neighbor while I have a chance. Believe I'll have my neighbor while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this 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 chance anymore. Testify, believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Testify, believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Do my dance, believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. Believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. Believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Do my dance, believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. Believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. Believe I'll do my dance while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Shout, shout, believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. Believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. Believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Shout, believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. Believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. Believe I'll shout, shout while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this 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 chance anymore. Testify, believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Clap my hands, believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. Believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. 'Cause I may not have this chance anymore. Clap my hands, believe I'll clap my hands while I have a chance. believe I'll clap my hands while I have the chance, 'cause I may not have this chance anymore. Study the Torah, believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance, 'cause I may not have this chance anymore. Study the Torah, believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance. Believe I'll study the Torah while I have a chance, 'cause I may not have this 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 chance anymore. Testify, believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance. Believe I'll testify while I have a chance, 'cause I may not have this chance anymore. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy. For he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great, for he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. For he is worthy, worthy, for he is great. Yes, he is great. Hello, Yeshua. Hello, Yeshua. How great is Yahuwah? Sing with me. How great is Yahuwah? All will see how great is Yahuwah. Come on, sing with me. How great is Yahuwah? Sing with me. How great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of, you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, and our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will sing how great, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All All I want is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I want is a touch from you. All I want is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I want is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. No one else can do the things you do. Take the wrong in my life and make it right. All I need is a touch from you. All I need is a touch from you. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. It was the best thing I ever done. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. It was the best thing I ever done. Oh, Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. It was the best thing I ever done. Oh, in your arms, I feel protected. In your arms, I feel connected. In your arms, I feel protected. And there is no place I'd rather be. Oh, in your arms, I feel protected. In your arms, I feel connected. In your arms, I feel protected. And there is no place I'd rather be. Oh, Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. It was the best thing I ever done. Oh, Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. Ayaham Yahuwah. It was the best thing I ever done. Oh, in your arms, I feel protected. In your arms, I feel connected. In your arms, I feel protected. And there is no place I'd rather be. Oh, in your arms, I feel protected. In your arms, I feel connected. In your arms, I feel protected. And there is no place I'd rather be. Oh, higher, it was the best thing I ever done. Oh, it was the best thing I ever done. Oh, it was the best thing I ever done.
It is now time for our declaration, a time when we come to voice paint the atmosphere, and the first voices that you hear will be a portion of the praise team, and I will be immediately following to take us into a time of declaration.
Listen here, have you ever heard this name? I know he washed me clean, white as snow. If you have salvation, then you know you will be clean. You'll be cleansed with the Spirit. Have you ever heard of this name? The name that starts with Y and ends with A. Goes like this, Yahush, yeah. Oh, his name is Yahush. His name is Yahush, yeah. Yeah. Yahush, sweet Yahush. Listen here, have you ever heard this name? I know he washed me clean, white as snow. If you have salvation, then you know you will be clean. You'll be cleansed with the Spirit. Have you ever heard of this name? Name that starts with Y and ends with A. Goes like this. Yahush, yeah, oh, his name is Yahush. His name is Yahush, yeah, yeah. Yahush, sweet Yahush. Listen here, have you ever heard this name? I know he washed me clean, white as snow. If you have salvation, then you know you will be clean. You'll be cleansed with the Spirit. Have you ever heard of this name? Name that starts with Y and ends with A. Goes like this. Yahush, yeah, oh, his name is Yahush. His name is Yahush, yeah, yeah. Yahush, sweet Yahush, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, Yahuwah. It is now time for our declaration. And as we come now into this time of declaration, I don't know what a lot of people's expectations are, because there are many of you that are still tuning in, and we thank you for tuning in and being with us. And even as we say, stick with us, don't quit us, because a lot of people like to come in for the singing, for the praise and worship, and the most important part, the word, they leave for. So as we go into this our time of declaration, I want everyone to repeat after me. Create in me a clean heart, and renew a right ruah in me. Create in me a clean heart, and renew a right ruah in me. Satan, you're defeated. Your darkness is scattered. And your hoosh is sovereign. And it is so. Put your hands together. Let's magnify our King. Hallelujah. One of the key things that we as the people need to always keep in mind, that everything that the Abba does is always a memorial. From our feast days to our tzitzi, to everything that we do, there's a memorial. Things that keeps us in mind, keeps us in memory, or helps us keep in memory the things that we need to do to walk in truth, to be the walkers in the way, and not be walkers that are just in the way. And it is so. So if we're going to be true to the call, and true and appreciate the awakening that the Abba has brought to many of our people and is going to bring to our people, we need to walk in that mindset. And it is so. Now, as we prepare to move forward, it is now time for us to bring seed unto our King. It is now time for us to walk in obedience to his writings. For this is one of the ways that the Abba has made way to Baruch, his people. And it is through our giving and the sowing of seed. As we do so, we do give according to his set apart will. But even as it says in the book of Genesis, that as long as the earth remains, there remains seed time and harvest. Luke 6:38 says that when we give, it shall be given unto us. Great measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall the Abba cause men to give into our bosom. 2 Corinthians 9 declares that the Abba is a cheerful giver. He gives seed to the sower, bread for our food, and he multiplies our seed sown and increases the fruits of our right standing. Malachi declares that when we're obedient and walk upright in our tithes and our offerings, that he will open unto us the windows of heaven. Pour us out of Baruch, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. He will rebuke the devourer for our sake, and neither shall our vine cast forth her fruit before the time in the field, says the sovereign of hosts. Amos comes full circle to let us know that the time is coming, and now is, when the reaper shall overtake the sower. So as we come preparing to sow our seed, we do know and understand that not only is it seed time, but what time is it?
Harvest time.
What time is it?
Harvest time.
It truly is harvest time. You don't sow, there's nothing that will grow. Those are the laws that are already set forth in the earth by our Father. You don't sow seed, you can't expect the harvest. Plain and simple. So for those of you that do support this work, Torah, because you make ministry happen. But for those of you, whether it's your first time or repeat time, if you would like to sow seed into the kingdom and to help the furtherance of the great work that is going on in this place and the furtherance of the Torah and the writings of our albums, then please feel free to do so. If you decide to use snail mail, you can send it to P.O. Box 381, Columbia, South Carolina 29202. That's P.O. Box 381, Columbia, South Carolina 29202. For those of you that prefer to use the Cash App application, correspond with us, send us your information or DM us, and we will correspond accordingly and to For those of you that choose to use PayPal as your medium, again, DM us, correspond accordingly, and we will be in touch with you as well. Torah in advance for your donation of a harvest support, because remember, when you do, and when you do, you make ministry happen, and it is so. So as our musicians baruch us with some giving music, come from where you are, bringing seed unto our King. Muzzle the seed unto our King. Torah Abba, for the provision that you made for us. Torah Abba, to be able to bring seed and to sow seed into your kingdom, because we walk in obedience to your writings, to your Torah, to your word. Abba, we do magnify you, and we thank you as we walk in expectation, because we walked in obedience. You said that if we're willing and obedient, that we shall eat and participate and be partakers of the fatness of this land. Therefore, Abba, we do magnify you now for your provision for us, for how you always make provision for us in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And it is so. And it is so. Allow you to put your hands together. Let's magnify our King, because he is truly worthy. He is worthy of all the praise, worthy of all the esteem that we give unto his set apart name. And it is so. And it is so. It is now time for us to receive our marching orders. It is time for us to be fed, even as it says in the writings, come over here. The table is spread and the feast of Yahuwah is truly going on. How do we know? Because the food is laid full and plentiful. There's no sparseness. There's no dearth. But there is plenty and abundance. All we have to do is walk in obedience to all that the Father has already given unto us to do, and hearken unto the leadership that he has already given us. I know many of us think, well, I need no man teach you. That means you need to be taught so that you can come to the understanding what that really means. And if you're offended, then you really need to be taught. Means you need to humble yourself and listen. So at this time, without further ado, our ears are not going to be tickled, but entreated with substantial and practical teaching that is going to bring life unto our very lives. So as I move to get out of your way, I bring to your forefront none other than the senior pastor of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom. It brings the congregation none other than our very own apostle and senior prophet, Aliyah Yashua. Put your hands together as she comes to bring the defense of life.
Come on, let's worship him. Come on, take a few moments to lift your hands and worship him. Come on, focus on him. Come on, let's focus on him. Let's worship him. Let's praise him for his mighty acts. Let's praise him for thwarting the plan of the enemy. Come on, let's praise him because we made it back here in one piece. We made it back in our right mind. We made it back with a desire and a mind to worship him. Come on, I long to be in your presence, Abba Yahuwah. I long to worship you and you alone. Come on, praise him. Come on, praise him with the instruments. Praise him with the clapping of your hands. Praise him with your voice. Come on, Yahshua, praise him like you know he's your Savior. Come on, praise him, praise him. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Come on. All right, Yahuwah, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on, let's worship him, let's worship him. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Come on, come on. There is no instructions against worshiping him. There are no instructions that forbid us from worshiping him. Come on. We need you, we need you, we need you. Come on. Open your mouth. And as you open your mouth, open your heart. Let us worship him. Come on, we need you, we need you, we need you. Wonderful name.
many things that trouble us. This is an opportunity for us to release, to give him our cares. For he said, cast your cares upon me, for I care it for you. I'm casting every burden, every care, every weight upon him. Lead me, and I will follow. Give me your instructions, and I will adhere. He is our Yahweh Savior. He is the King of Kings, and there is none beside him, except his Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who makes intercession for us daily. Daily. I appreciate him for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. Let us not forget that in our time of praise and in our time of worship, it is a time that we seek after the Abba, that we seek after the Ruach HaKodesh, that we seek to be endowed with power from on high. Don't let Christianity fool you and make you believe that there are certain things that they basically created and made up. For if you go into the writings, into the book of the scroll of Acts, you will see, according to 1 and 8, and then in chapter 2, what took place. They were endowed with power from on high. We still have that same right to ask for the power, so that when we are confronted with things that seem above us, we will have the power to push on. We will have the wisdom to maintain our consistency and our integrity. It is important that we remember this is our life, this is our way, and that we should never cease from seeking the Ruach HaKodesh to be filled, that we may be able to speak the language of the diaspora, those that are in other countries and other places, that we will be able to go beyond that language barrier because of the Ruach. In our time of praise and in our time of worship, let us not forget that we worship him because we know who he is and because we desire that what he has. It is so important that we remember that and never forget. He's wonderful. He's wonderful to me. Is he wonderful to you? Yes, he is. Because it is the blood of his son that covers us. He woke you up this morning. He woke me up this morning and started us on our way. And he gave us life and that more abundantly. And he didn't forsake us throughout the young, but he walked with us throughout the young. And so it behooves us to praise him and to give him praise for that what he's done, that's what he's doing, and that's what he's yet going to do. In spite of the enemy plotting against us, we have time, and let's take advantage of that time. Let us take advantage of everything that the Abba is given unto us through his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. And it is so. Come on, lift your hands and worship him. Come on, that's right, worship him. Come on, let him know it's all about him. It's all about you, all about you, Abba Yahuwah. Come on. Worship him, worship him, worship him. Come on, forget about yourself. Concentrate on him. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Worship him. From the depths of your heart, worship him. He's seeking such to worship him in spirit and in truth. Are you that one? Let us worship him. Worship, worship, worship him. Allah Yahuwah. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Come on. A broken and contrite heart he will not refuse. when I couldn't see my way. Come on, you owe him a praise for keeping you when you couldn't see your way. When you didn't know life from day. When you didn't know left from right. When you didn't know top from bottom or top to bottom. He made a way. Come on, praise him. Come on. He's worthy. He's worthy. I need you. Come on. I need him. Come on. There is no instruction against praising him. There are no instructions against worshiping him. Come on. You're worthy. Come on, praise him. He's worthy. He's worthy. Yay! You're worthy. Come on. Yay! He's worthy. You're worthy. Come on. Get some of us in our right mind. Come on. If it had been for him who's on our side, where would we be? Where would you be? Come on. Where would we be somewhere singing your own praise? Oh, but he kept us through the storm and rain. He kept us through heartache and pain. Yes, he did. He's a keeper. Yay! He's my keeper. Come on, praise him, praise him. He's my keeper. Come on. Come on. It's all right to praise him. It's all right to praise him. Come on. It's all right to praise him. Come on. Come on. Come on, it's all right to praise him. It's all right to reveal your heart to him. Because he'll never turn on you. And he won't use your weaknesses against you. Come on, praise him, praise him, praise him. Come on, release to it. Release to it. Come on, open your mouth. Release to it. Come on. Come on. Let him do it. Let him do it. Let him do it. Come on. Come on. Come on. He's a healer. Come on. He's a healer. He's a healer. Yes, he is. Come on. He gives you whosoever acted free. Yes, he did. Come on. He came to set us free. We're no longer bound, but we are free. Free to praise him. Free to seek him. Come on. Let him heal you. Let him deliver you. Let him set you free. He's worthy. He's worthy. And we have a right to praise him. You may not have a reason to praise him, but I have a reason to praise him. Kept me, not just throughout the young man and the labor, but kept me throughout the years that he has brought me into truth. He has kept me even during the difficult times. And I appreciate him during the uncertainties, during times we're dealing with mishpachah issues. He kept me. He kept us as a mishpachah when the enemy wanted to destroy us and devastate us and try to split us. He kept us. And even though my two oldest sons may not be here, they are still a part of this mishpachah, and I have them dearly. And so one thing is that I appreciate the Abba for is that no matter what and no matter where we find ourselves, he's always there with us to bring us back to that place. It's important that we never, ever, ever stop praising him. Now, for many people, that may be, a little unorthodox, but that's all right, because I'm going to be like Dawood, and I'm going to be even more undignified than this. Why? Because when you give Abba Yahuwah a praise, it is not for people, it is for him. And unless you know our story, unless you know my story, unless I know your story, and even if I didn't know your story, one thing I know about praise is that praise changes not only your life, but the lives of people around you. Because what people do not praise their power. And I'll show you people that don't believe in their power. I don't care who it is. If they believe in what and who they serve, they're going to praise it in some form or fashion. And because we do the Abba, and we do know enough about him to know that praise does get his attention. Because we're not just praising without a focus and without understanding. We're praising him because we understand that praise is for the comely and for the upright. And that's who we are. We magnify him because of his greatness and because of his compassion towards us. If he was not compassionate, we would all be dead, and there would be no memory of us, because he would have started all over. He had every opportunity to do it more than one time, but he chose not to. He chose to ahab us, and he chose to allow us to be participants of his greatness. And with that being said, I baruch him for being able to share my heart with him and be able to reveal myself to him, and him not criticize me, him not destroy me, but him come in and correct me and chasten me. This is why I have him so much, because he didn't have to bring us through. He could have let us lose our minds. He could have let us lose the way. He could have allowed us to be snared and snagged out of the truth. He could have allowed us to reject. And he could have given up on many of us at the first time that this way of life was presented to us. And many of us rejected it, believing that it was folly and that it was of the devil. But he did not. He kept on. Just as a groom chaseth after his bride to be, he never gave up on us. And neither should we ever give up on him. Never, ever, ever should we give up on him. We praise him because he is worthy of all praise. We praise him because he's worthy to be praised. If it had not been for him who's on our side, Yahshua, where would we be? No matter how much negative stuff comes across our way or comes to us as a nation, when it's all said and done, the positive still outweighs the negative. And I'm not saying it to be insensitive, but no matter how many times and how many deaths we hear about, we still hear more about life. Because that's who he is. He's about life. And we appreciate him. I appreciate him. And I have him more than anything else in this world. Because he's never let us down. And I know when I say that, I speak not just for myself, but I speak to us as a people. He has never, ever let us down. We have let him down, but he has never, ever let us down. He has never betrayed us, but we betrayed him. But yet he's still committed to us as his nation, as his people. So I encourage you to don't give up on him. Trying times are still ahead of us. Yes, it is. The trying of our belief is still ahead of us. But knowing what he's capable of doing, and not just being capable of doing it, but desiring to do it for us as people, is enough to make you want to stick and stay. So I encourage you, don't give up on him. Because he won't give up on us. And he won't give up on you. So I encourage you to be about his business. What is his business, someone might ask? It is serving him, praising him, and watch this, believing in him. Because all the service in the world doesn't mean anything if you don't believe in him. He said, they speak of me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Let that not be said of us, that we just give lip service, but there is nothing else to follow it. I have him. How about you? Yes. We're going to do the Baruch of the Torah, and then we're going to have the 10 Commandments read by Mattathias, always as a reminder, always as a refresher unto us as people, that we never lose sight of the importance of his commandments for our lives. Many discard them, many say, oh, we don't need them, but we need his instructions to govern, to define, and to structure our lives. It is of the utmost importance that we remember these things and we follow through with these things. And it is so. It is so. All right. Repeat with me. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
For all eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
Who selected us from all the people.
And gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
And implanted eternal life within us.
And implanted eternal life within us.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Devarim 5 verses 6 to 22. Aleph. I am Yahuwah your power which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the bed of slavery. Bet you shall know the power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mind beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the Abbas upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that are hard me and keep my commandments. Gimel, you shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your power, and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name and empties it. Dalet, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah, your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your foreigner that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahuwah, your power, brought you out of there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore, Yahuwah, your power, commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Hey, esteem your hour and your ear, as Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah, your power, is about to give you. Why? You shall not murder. Zin, neither shall you commit adultery. Ket, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. You, neither shall you desire your neighbor's issue, neither shall you covet your neighbor's bed, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah spoke unto all your assembly in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And it is so.
And it is so. Chapter 6 of the Devarim, verses 1 through 18 to support everything that was read. These are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, and all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, power of your Abbas, has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Shema Yasharal, Yahuwah our power, Yahuwah is Akkad. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our supreme one, Yahuwah is Akkad. And you shall ahab Yahuwah your supreme one with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently. Somebody say diligently.
Diligently.
Unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, to fall to what? Bind to the mind, to bind to the mind. Give the Torah access to your mind, to your thinking, to your dreams, your aspirations, your goals. Let the Torah be deep-seated so that when your aspiration, goals, desires, even affirmations come about, they will be birthed out of the instructions of the Abba. And it is so.
It is so.
Excuse me. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give you great cities which you did not build, houses full of all great things which you filled not, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyard and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten them before, then beware lest you forget Yahuwah. Then beware lest you forget Yahuwah, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahuwah your power as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahuwah your power. Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
And his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the great land which he swore to your fathers. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. A reminder to us to never forget Someone was like, oh, I'll never forget. He means too much to me. I'm sure Yasharal said the same thing until they got free and they were able to have the very things they never thought they would have. They would have things in abundance, no more being under the hand of Pharaoh and his minions, and even under the hand or the thumb of them. But they were able to be free. And freedom comes with a price. It is not a high price, but it is a price. And we must be willing to pay that price for freedom. What did it cost us? Obedience. That's not difficult when we understand the price for disobedience. So it's important that we understand these things. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us turn our attention to Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1. And we're going to look at verse 7 and verse 8. We're going to read verse 7 and then we're going to confess verse 8. One of my favorites. It's always a reminder that when things get difficult and things become hard, and there are times when you question your validity and question, am I supposed to do this? Is this what I am called to do? Then you must remember he gave him that declaration and he gave him that decree because he realized you're getting ready to step into some shoes. You're getting ready to step into a position. Everybody's not going to accept it. Everybody's not going to see how you see. Everybody's not going to feel how you feel. But because this is what you've been called to do, you have to do it. And so it is very important that we understand these things. Are you following?
Yes.
It's important. You can lead a crowd and sometimes still feel like you're the only one going. But at the same time, if it's what he's called us to do, we've got to encourage ourselves. And so he tells him in verse 7, let us read verse 7 of chapter 1, Yahush, the son of Nun. Only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the Torah which Moshe, my servant, commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. The only way we will prosper is that we don't turn left or right from his instructions for our lives. And you have to understand the enemy is baiting many of us to try to do that. Turn to the left. If we don't turn to the left, turn to the right. If we don't turn to the right, turn to the left. And if we don't turn either to the left or to the right, we start backing up instead of going forward. And if you can't go forward, then just be still until his way is made clear. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right. Verse 8, as I have tailored it to fit our time of confession. Repeat with me. I will not let this scroll of the Torah.
I will not let the scroll of the Torah
depart out of my mouth.
depart out of my mouth.
But I shall meditate in it.
But I shall meditate in it.
Yom and Layla.
Yom and Layla.
That I may observe to do.
That I may observe to do.
According to all that is written in it.
According to all that is written in it.
For then I shall make my way prosperous.
But then I shall make my way prosperous.
And then I shall act wisely.
And then I shall act wisely.
Now look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you shall act wisely. And you shall act wisely. Now take your hand and place it over your heart and say, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
Come on, I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
One more time, I endeavor
I endeavor
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
And it is so.
And it is so.
It is important that we act wisely, especially with so many things that are being thrown at us that would truly make us want to not act wisely. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important that we remember these things. Challenges, as I said, are going to come. But the one that overcomes these challenges are the ones that have set their heart and mind to seek the Abba and to be conformed to his way and not this world. Romans 12:2 tells us, and be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind, that we may present that what is perfect and excellent in the sight of Abba Yahuwah. So it's important that we be not conformed to this world, but be ye conformed to what? His instructions for our lives. But you got to go to verse 1. That we present our bodies a living sacrifice, kadesh, and acceptable unto Abba Yahuwah, which is what? Our reasonable service. So every time we come into class, that's a reasonable service. Every time we praise him, that is our reasonable offering, our reasonable service unto him. Are you following?
Yes.
Very important that we remember these things. Why? Because these are the building blocks to help us build and be a people that will be able to stand against that time of testing and that time of trying. And it is so.
And it is so.
I want to read to you from Yehukanan Aleph, chapter 5. Abba Yahuwah gave this to me to be a reminder and to be a constant refresher unto us as a people, that in trying times that we never forget the purpose and the life of Yahushua, and why it is important that we believe in him, and that we I don't want to say own him, but we accept him as the gift that the Abba has given unto us, and claim ownership to that what he has given unto us as his people. Many people are trying to rebuttal, debunk, and even many people have gone as far as to denounce. And so we don't want to find ourselves being misled and being given false information that causes us to say things and do things that will cause us our lives in the long run. And so it is always a reminder to remember the gift that he's given unto us. And I want to encourage you to always remember that the fight you're fighting, it's not the first time it's been fought. You have to remember our ancestors and forefathers fought this same fight. That's why they left a testimony unto us, a testament to share with us the very things that they had to fight against, so that we would remain encouraged and utilize the gifts and the tools that were given to them that now are given unto us, so that we don't have to be defeated. You don't have to be defeated in your heart and mind. We don't have to be defeated in our resolve. We just got to maintain our consistency and continue to hold on to the gift that keeps on giving. And it is so.
And it is so.
Once again, Yehukanan Aleph, chapter 5, verses 1 through 15. Everyone who believes that Yahushua the Mashiach has been born of Yahuwah, and everyone who ahabs the one bringing forth also ahabs the one having been born of him. By this we know that we ahab the children of Yahuwah, when we ahab Yahuwah and guard his commands. For this is the ahab for Yahuwah, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not difficult. Because everyone having been begotten of Yahuwah overcomes the world. And this is the overcoming that has overcome the world, our belief. Who is the one who overcomes the world but he who believes that Yahushua is the son of Yahuwah? This is the one that came by water and blood, Yahushua, Mashiach, not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach who bears witness, because the Ruach is the truth. Because there are three who bear witness, the Ruach and the water and the blood. And the three are in agreement. Somebody say an agreement.
In agreement.
If we receive the witness of men, the witness of Yahuwah is greater, because this is the witness of Yahuwah which he has witnessed concerning his son. The one who believes in the Son of Yahuwah has the witness in himself. The one who does not believe Yahuwah has made him a liar, because he has not believed the witness that Yahuwah has given concerning his son. And this is the witness that Yahuwah has given us, eternal life. And this life is in his Son. He who possesses the Son possesses life. He who does not possess the Son of Yahuwah does not possess life. I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah, so that you know that you possess everlasting life, and so that you believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah. And this is the boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. And it is so. And it is so. This is why our life of prayer should never be fruitless, but should always be fruitful. Because we know he hears us, and we know that he didn't bring us here to leave us or to play with our lives. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Now we want to do our affirmations, and from our affirmations do our declaration, and then we want to seal it with the word or the Torah. Repeat with me. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibrahim.
I am Ibrahim.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibrahim.
I am Ibrahim.
I have the life and nature
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
That life is the Torah of Yasharal.
That life is the Torah of Yahshua.
I purpose to walk
I purpose to walk
in the Torah of life.
in the Torah of life.
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahuwah's Torah.
Yahush,
Yahush
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's ahab
Yahuwah's ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is leading me.
He is leading.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach
The Ruach
HaKodesh
HaKodesh
of Yahuwah
of Yahuwah
in me is leading me.
in me is leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll walk in the Torah,
I'll walk in the Torah.
Yahush,
Yahush
our Mashiach.
our Mashiach.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat with me, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah.
in the name of Yahush,
In the name of Yahush
our Mashiach.
our Mashiach.
We subdue ignorance
We subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
And through this knowledge
And through this knowledge
of Torah truth,
of Torah truth,
we claim healing,
we claim healing,
shalom,
shalom,
deliverance,
deliverance,
and salvation.
and salvation.
We decree
We decree
Torah truth
Torah truth
in the lives
in the lives
of your people,
of your people,
our people,
our people.
Yasharal.
Yahshua.
We unite
We unite
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight
not to fight
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
but the enemy
but the enemy
of our belief.
of our belief.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. You are not my enemy, but the enemy of my belief is my enemy. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Even if we have different of opinions, that does not make us enemies. What makes us enemies or make you an enemy to us as a people is that you begin to try to change our way and our standard that has already been outlined for us as his people. And so it is very important that we understand that we are in it to win it, and that we must follow his example and follow his instructions for our lives, so that we can fulfill everything that he's placed within us. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us bow before our King, and let us recite this. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you.
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you.
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so. And it is so. We have just recited Tehillim 19 and 14. And it is so. You may be seated in his presence. As we prepare to dive into a portion of our lesson on this Layla, we want to turn our attention to the foundational verse that I am using for this teaching, and it comes from Devarim, chapter 6, and it's verse 14. We're going to look at verse 14, and we want to read verse 13 to go right along with that. 13 and 14. When you have it, saying it is so. All right. All right. Let us read.
Deuteronomy 6, verses 13 through 14.
Mhm.
And it reads, Fear Yahweh your power, and serve him, and swear by his name.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go after other mighty ones, the mighty ones of the people who are all around you. And it is so.
And it is so. Why was this given? Very important for us to understand the importance of this command to the children of Yasharal, which also is a command for us. Why? Because after the children of Yasharal had come out of Mitzrayim, being in the presence of all types of things and seeing many of things, there had to be order and there had to be structure for their lives, just as we need structure for our lives. Without structure, we would be just like water without confinement, all over the place. And so we don't want to be all over the place. And many times we are seeing that even in this time and young, because we think that many things that are being said and promoted, it's okay. You know, as long as it's done by this one or that one, it's perfectly fine, which is not the case and which is not so. The Abba has given us instructions and guidelines. And on this Layla, we are talking about the Kabbalah, not just the Kabbalah, but in this, the mysticism of Rabbinic Judaism, which encompasses the esoteric forces, the chakras, 7 chakras, and the yoking with serpents, the Kabbalah, or the tree of life, or the Sefer, which we have come to understand. Now, someone would ask the question, well, what does this have to do with us? It has a lot to do with us, especially when we have more people that are speaking on the terms of chakras. And they're wearing the jewelry and they're, wearing the stones, and they're, saying, well, we have to do this, I have to do that to get this clean, get that clean. And basically saying if these portals of energy are blocked, this will happen and that will happen. And which when we read in the writings, nowhere do we ever see the Abba ever refer to any of that anywhere. We never refer to him. And so it's important that we understand the language here. That is very important. We don't hear that type of language spoken. And so if the Abba didn't speak it, and neither did the prophets and those that were to be examples for us, neither are we. And so we're diving in, breaking it up, and getting to the flesh of it so that we can begin to dismantle this very theory and these things, so that we as the children of Yasharal will not find ourselves getting caught up in mysticism, thinking that it's okay. It's okay, because I understand your vibrations and all of these. When there was a time we would say, no, that person's ruach just ain't right. That their ruach is nasty. Are you following me? But now we tend to take the language and we use the language that's most common today. Just because it's common doesn't mean that it is for us to adopt and to take on. Are y'all following me? Yes. It is not for us to take on. And so we have to be careful when, people say, because your vibrations and your vibes, say, okay, well, where are you saying they're coming from? So that's another important thing we want to dig into and look at. And so the thing of it is, when we talk about awareness, we're talking about the awareness through the levels, 4 levels. And we looked at rabbinical Judaism, and we've come to understand that it was steeped up in a whole lot of things. And knowing the influence, but the key thing is Gnosticism and its influence on rabbinic Judaism. And this is the sect known as the Pharisees from the 1st century forward. And so we realize that Yahush came against these very things. Even this is why I read Yehukanan Aleph chapter 5, because Yehukanan was dealing with Gnosticism every yom. He was dealing with it on a large scale. And this is why he had to write the decree in Yehukanan Aleph chapter 5, and even in Revelations dealing with Yahush as the Mashiach. In all of chapter of the whole book of Yehukanan, and so from 1 to chapter 5, where he deals with the Gnosticism. And so forth. Why did he have to deal with Gnosticism? Because there were many of those that had a style of teaching that said, hey, let's look at this. For instance, when they dealt with Yahush, because he was the Mashiach, they said that he was not truly who he said he was, because they tried to, listen what I'm going to say, deify him. In other words, they said he was only water and flesh without blood, meaning that he was not human. And so if he was not human, then that would have disqualified him from being able to do what he did to bring restoration to Yahshua. And so he had to come against them in his teachings. And this is why he was adamant in chapter 5. And this is why I'm adamant about chapter 5 of Yehukin and Aleph, is to show us that that which was being dealt with then is not over, or that which is being dealt with now was being dealt with even in that time. And so you have to understand, different times, same spirit. Trying to basically dismantle the life and the purpose of Yahush in the children of Yahshua. So this is very important for us to grab onto and hold on to it and not let it go. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. All right, now, where does all this come from? Once again, this teaching is not, or the subject concerns teaching and not people. You find in order to deal with this force, it is important that we put on the whole armor of Abba Yahuwah, Ephesians chapter 6. I'm just kind of going back over as we pick up for where we're going to take up on this later. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 11 and 12 says, put on the schemes of the devil, because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual matters of wickedness in the heavens. So he's given us an outline of what we are up against. So when you see a whole lot of stuff, understand that these things have sources that it is that they are coming from, or that it was spawned or birthed out of. So it's important that we understand these things. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
All right. Its secrets are intended to be understood only by a small number of people with a specialized knowledge. We're talking about the Kabbalah. Once again, Kabbalah is a mystical interpretation of inner meanings in the Torah and oral traditions of the Abbas. Okay, it emerged after 700 years after Islam with the publication of the Zohar. Is the chief Kabbalah text, which directs Torah study along 4 levels of interpretation, borrowed from Hinduism's gurus known by the acronyms. And we covered those because at one time we were believing that this was the way it was interpreted by the Pardes. The Pashat, simple surface meaning, Remez, hinted, Drash, which is search, and Sod, which means hidden. And so the Zohar means splendor, and first appeared in Spain in the 13th century, published by Moshe de Leon. And so, excuse me, it's important that we understand that we are not to follow after these teachings. Once again, when we look at rabbinical Judaism, the question is, what is the leaven or the yeast of the Pharisees? Remember when Yahushua spoke to the disciples, and he told them to beware of what? The leaven of the Pharisees. Why did he tell them that? Because he was talking concerning the teachings of the Pharisees. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
It's very important that we understand that he was talking about the teachings of the Pharisees. He comes and he tells us in Matthew chapter 11, verses 29 and 30. He says, take my yoke, teaching upon you, which is a contrast to their yoke. And learn from me, for I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your beings. For my yoke is gentle and my burden is light. Compared to the yoke of what? The Pharisees. Once again, teaching, doctrine. And so, listen at this. Where did the idea of rabbi come from? Now, he's breaking up a series of different things. Once again, what is the leaven or yeast of the Pharisees? Rabbinic Judaism, the traditions of the fathers. Now you have to understand the traditions of the fathers run very steep and deep, very deep. When you look at the sayings of the Maimonides, there are 13 believers called 13 faiths or 13 principles of the Maimonides, which comes in basically, and somebody would say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes in is when it has a greater authority or takes preference over the instructions that the Abba has given unto us as a people. When it takes preference over that, what the Abba has already given to us, that is what causes a problem. All right. Now, when you begin to look at it, it is a guiding. Okay, where did the idea of rabbi come from? A guide to reach fulfillment or guru came from the center or the culture of Hinduism. This reached the Middle East about the 2nd century BCE. Excuse me, it came from India by way of the trade route known as the Silk Road.